Hello, and welcome to our next part of our lecture on the wars of religion. Today we're going to be covering England here at Learning the Social Sciences. When Henry VIII died, he only had 3 surviving children, even though he had 6 wives over time and countless affairs. However, when he passed away, his 9-year-old and then turned 10 on coronation day son, Edward, took the throne. Edward was the son of his third wife, Jane Seymour, and he reigned from 1547 to 1553. Under Little King Ed, England became more Protestant. He passed the 42 Articles of Church Doctrine, which reflected now Calvinist ideas, which probably wouldn't have made Daddy too happy, who was somebody who really did love the Catholic Church, but Edward is moving towards Calvinism a little bit more. The English clergy were now allowed to get married, and the church became known as the Anglican Church. However, Edward became ill and he was going to die, but he didn't want his half-sister Mary Tudor to come to the throne because she was a devout Catholic. And so he named his cousin, Lady Jane Grey, to be the next in line for the crown before his death, and the country really didn't know who Jane Grey was. So when she came to the throne on July 10th, 1553, the English were kind of like, who is this lady? Mary then prepared an army and marched towards London to take the throne because she said, by bloodline, I am the next in line for the English throne. And the people basically supported that. They supported that reasoning. And so when Mary showed up, Lady Jane Grey was arrested, and eventually she will be executed. So she does go down in history as the shortest monarch in English history, as she only reigned for 9 days. When Mary took the throne, she eventually marries the militant Catholic Philip II of Spain, and she became very hostile to the Protestants, which is why she is given the nickname Bloody Mary. She had hundreds burnt at the stake, and others flee to the continent, so to nations like the Netherlands or the Germanic nations of the Holy Roman Empire, to escape Bloody Mary. She also loses land in France that the English had been maintaining since the 100 Years' War in Calais. A famine hits and a plague hits, and, well, they're not really in good economic straits when Mary passes away in 1558. That then brings to the throne her half-sister Elizabeth, the youngest daughter of Henry VIII, and also the daughter of Anne Boleyn. Remember, her mother was executed by her father when she was only 3 years old. And Elizabeth I is going to be the last of the Tudors. Why? Well, she decided that she was going to marry England. She was going to be there for her country, and she was not going to be there for a husband. Now, she repealed the pro-Catholic laws that her half-sister Mary had gone and instituted during her reign, and she was proclaimed the crown head of the Anglican Church. She also, though, has to kind of deal with the controversies of being in a nation that is both Catholic and Protestant. And she does a pretty good job of just walking that politique line of just kind of saying, hey, just go to church. Just go to church. I don't care which one. But she does institute baby steps reforms within the Anglican Church, making it more and more Protestant over time. Other Protestant groups also come out, though, during her reign. We have the Puritans, who are an English version of the Calvinists, and they're really wanting to purify the church of all remaining Catholic elements. And we also have those separatists, for example, the Pilgrims, who are also separating themselves from even the Anglican Church, and eventually are going to separate themselves from England because they're going to show up in North America. Also during Elizabeth's reign are plenty of assassination plots. During just the one plot to have Elizabeth killed, the Northern Rising, 200 to 300 people were executed for their role in trying to kill Elizabeth. And there are a lot of Catholics involved in these plots to kill Elizabeth. Why? Well, the next in line for the English throne is Mary, Queen of Scots. Yes, another Mary, but different, a cousin to Elizabeth, not a half sister. Mary, Queen of Scots, is a Catholic. She was the Queen of Scotland and started to become the Queen at the age of 6 days old. However, at the age of 5, she was sent to live in France because she was going to be the future Queen of France. Her husband, Francis II, unfortunately only reigned for 18 months when he died of an ear infection. Her mother-in-law, Catherine de' Medici, really didn't like her. And so when Francis died, she just kind of said, bye-bye, Mary. And so Mary was sent back to Scotland, where she is still the monarch. Unfortunately, though, for Mary, when she shows up, times have changed in Scotland. Scotland is now mainly a Protestant nation adhering to the Presbyterian Church set up by John Knox, a follower of Calvinism. And Mary is devoutly Catholic. And so there's controversy over that. There's also going to be controversy because Mary, who was the second most eligible woman in Europe behind Queen Elizabeth I, does not go out and get a great political marriage, say going and marrying somebody who is in the royal line of Sweden, or somebody that is powerful within the Netherlands or within France even. No, instead she marries her first cousin, Henry Stuart Darnley, and she actually had to do it in secret. So that's not very good. And there's a whole bunch of people that are angry about that. Even worse for Mary, it turns out that he's a drunk with a big head and a bad temper. And so, well, Queen Mary starts to have an affair with her secretary, David Rizzio. However, when Lord Darnley hears about this affair, he and his friends grab Rizzio and stab him 56 times. And then they throw him down a staircase after they stab him 56 times. I mean, he's dead. He's really dead. Mary's response to this, no more tears. I will now think of revenge. Ooh, that's big. That's big. Now, Mary does do her job as a monarch, and she does produce an heir, her child James, the future James I, in 1566, with the dad being Darnley. However, in February of 1567, Mary goes and plots with her third husband, but not actually yet, Lord Bothwell, to have her current husband killed. So the Darnley resident, Kirk O'Fields, blows up at 2 a.m. However, Darnley is not found in the rubbles and remains of his blown up residence. He is found out in the garden with what appears to be some stab marks and some marks around his neck, probably showing he was strangled. And I don't know about you, but most people probably in a house explosion are not going to have those types of wounds. And so it is known that that was a murder. And they all assumed that the murder was orchestrated by Lord Bothwell, who Mary goes and marries right away after Darnley is dead. So the nobility form an army and they rebel against her and they arrest her. She is able to escape from there and she flees to England, leaving her son behind as now the baby king of Scotland. When she shows up in England, she is put under house arrest by Elizabeth. And while under house arrest, she starts writing letters, communicating with the Pope, the Holy Roman Emperor, and with Philip II of Spain, and with people involved with a plot to kill Elizabeth I. Actually, the whole plot is found out because of Mary, Queen of Scots' letters. And when the plot is put into fruition, it fails, but Mary is arrested for high treason. She's put on trial and found guilty in June of 1571. However, Philip and other leaders say do not have her executed because we will get revenge for that. So Elizabeth debates whether or not to have her cousin killed because this would be a monarch killing a monarch. However, in time, she does do the execution and Mary comes to the room with a bright red dress, saying, I am not dying because I committed treason. I am dying because I am a Catholic. She is sending out a message to the world with her red dress, saying she is now becoming a Catholic martyr. And when she is killed, Philip definitely takes up that cause from Spain, and he launches the Spanish Armada with the Pope's blessings to attack England for the death of Mary, Queen of Scots. Also, Philip wants to put his daughter on the throne of England, and he's got some other plans as well. However, during the battle, the winds shift. It's known as the Protestant Wind. And although the English ships were losing, finally, when the wind shifts, the English had the advantage. They launched some fire ships and were able, with their smaller vessels, to encircle the Spanish and to sink the Spanish Armada, thus bringing Philip down, as he no longer has his beautiful armada, and he actually goes and declares bankruptcy for a while. But England is saved. Elizabeth, all ready for the battle in her armor, does not need to actually fight with the sword. In terms of Elizabeth's governing, when she ascended the throne, things were bleak after her half-sister Mary's reign. However, she worked with Parliament, and she was able to really balance the budget and help bring in a golden age for England. Also, the population is growing, which is showing that things are going pretty well. It grows from 2.5 million to 4.5 million. That's really huge due to the reduced mortality rate and an increased fertility rate within England and more crop yields. They actually go up around 30% in England during her reign. We also have, like I have mentioned, Elizabeth working well as you can in this time period with Parliament. She knows how to basically talk to the noble, those with hereditary titles, and the gentry, those landowners without the title. And she also knows kind of the rule of, say, middlings or yeomen who could become nobles if they purchase land. She is good at doing her job, at being queen. However, if you are poor during this time period, things aren't really great for you. If there is, say, a famine, you might have to try to maybe steal to get some bread to feed your family. And if you're caught, well, there's 23 different classifications for theft during this time period, and you might be publicly whipped or branded or mutilated in some way or sent off to be an oarsman on the ship. So life isn't that great if you are poor. However, during Elizabeth's golden age, she is a sponsor of the arts and of theater. And so between 1580 and 1640, 2,000 different plays are going to be produced and performed in the two theaters that open in London underneath Elizabeth in 1576. And of course, during her reign, we have William Shakespeare penning his famous plays that would intrigue the wealthy and the poor all the same. So this has been the lecture on England during the Wars of Religion. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them down below. And always remember to like and subscribe. Thank you. Bye-bye.